Hello everyone, my name is Zoran and I wanted to show you my process of color grading images with 3D Lut Creator. It's an amazing program. You can find it on 3dlutcreator.com. It really changed the way I worked with images and gave me a lot more possibilities than I ever thought I had. And also I learned a lot just by using it about color, about profiles, about everything. Let's say I want to edit this image. For the images that I want to edit so that I give them really stylized look, I usually start by converting them to log C. I start by applying log C profile in Lightroom. I like to use Lightroom because I still have my lens correction, sharpening, noise reduction, and you can also do this just by inserting a raw file into 3D Lut Creator. So I usually start just by setting my white balance, maybe exposure correction, shadows, highlights maybe a bit, and then I just turn it to log C and send the file to Photoshop. Open as a smart object in Photoshop. But make sure it's a 16-bit file, so when you edit, you won't see banding and distortion of color appear. So when I have the file loaded in Photoshop, I just go to 3D Lut Creator and press Image to Photoshop. I load it here and then apply log C input log. I usually set these to about 80 so it doesn't clip, and then I push my exposure. Let's see the histogram. Okay, it's good. A little bit of contrast here. That's about it. I usually use this color recover. If I have something, you see it gets my color back a bit, and I will add a bit of saturation just to start with and send this LUT to Photoshop. Okay, I will rename this to log conversion. Then I can either apply this LUT to my image, or I can just reset this, make a new preset and reload image from Photoshop. Okay, now I reloaded the image with processing for my first conversion LUT. I usually start with maybe mixing the channels a bit. You can also do this in your log conversion right away. I just want to see if I can just push the colors, make it a bit warmer. I want to see this red bag pop, and also add a bit of these warm tones to her skin. If I see everything is too saturated now, I can desaturate or add saturation here. I think then I like to use the volume to adjust luminance by channels. So if I push it to green, I get this nice tone. And also you have these different options here. So if you're pushing this, it will make the shadows use the green channel more, and the highlights can use the reds or the blues. Let's say I like this one. Okay, that's okay for now. And then the AB tab is kind of the main tab because it's very precise tool. You see, if I want to change the hue of her skin tone, I can see where this is on my wheel. If I want more yellow skin, I push it this way. If I want more red, this way. If you pull it down to center, you desaturate. If you pull it away, you add saturation. So I will use something like this, and I just see this red bag here. I just see that it's there, you see. So I can add more points on this one, or you can make the AB show it like in the squares. So I select this closest to the back, and I can just saturate it or desaturate it. Looks good for now. I try to make everything in stages, you know, so I can go back or add later. This is the luminous curve, which doesn't affect my color saturation. So I like to use this, pull the mids, and then I add a bit of contrast here. Okay, let's say I want a little bit more shadows. That's good. Before and after. And I can send this to Photoshop right away, or I want to compile it for now and make it an external LUT. It will load it here. So you see, these are the edits we made. And also the amazing thing is that you can change separately the luminous, hue, saturation for the edits you want. So if I see that I've gone too far with maybe a luminous, I can just push the luminous a bit back, or the saturation. Now it's good. Hue, I like it this way. And then I can compile it again, so it does those corrections to my output LUT. I want to make the blues more teal, so I'll push this. I will try to remove everything that's a distraction. Let's say this tree is what I'm going to do with those. Pull it a bit to the blues. The good thing is, if I want to saturate this color more, I can just press on my image and pull, add saturation. And also a good thing is that I can hold Shift key and maybe darken or brighten if I go the other way. Well, let's say I want to darken this a bit. Yeah, that's good. I want to make her skin more yellow. I go this way. Also, if you move something like this, for example, and you want to remove this point, you just right click on it and it will delete it. Let's use this for now. Then I want to rename this. I do this because if I leave it named 3D Lut Creator, it will replace it when I send the another LUT from 3D Lut Creator. Reset everything and load my image again. I'm still having a problem with this thread a bit. I like the saturation now, but it's kind of too orange for me. But here this is too close to her skin. Maybe I'll try to find another color space that spreads it a bit, so I can pick it more precisely. I think this will work. And now I will pin this points, so you just double click on them so you don't move it, the surrounding spots. If I move this, it moves everything connected to it. You see, it makes this gradation. But if I pin, for example, this is whites, I pin them and I move the blues, it just moves this blue spectrum. I like this. Now I want to lower the highly saturated parts of image. So I go to curves and this is saturation. This is low saturation and high saturation. So if I pull this, it will desaturate the parts with higher saturation, and the lower saturation we have less effect. So I can make this something like this, so nothing is going too far, and maybe I can desaturate the unsaturated parts a bit. Let's check what luminous saturation does for us in this instance. This curve, and it's luminous depending on how saturated it is. So If you want the saturated parts to be brighter, you push it up. If you want the saturated parts to be darker, you push this part up. And this is the desaturated part, you see. So maybe something like this. I always like to check what am I doing. So I press a backslash. See, show before, after. I like that. And now it seems my image is a bit too dark for me. I'll push these midtones. Okay. I still want to go back and add a bit saturation to these trees, but maybe try to darken it a bit more. Okay, I will compile it. I will go to this color space and I will try to darken it this way. I will send this. Let's say correction. This is what I've done so far. Okay, you can do this when I edit an image. I like to make everything contrasty. That's my personal style. But I like to have a contrast in the colors and luminance. So if I want to see just the luminance, I can go to View, Show Separate Channels, and I can see my red, green, blue, alpha channel, and grayscale. Let's say I want to see it in grayscale. And then I can tweak my luminance a bit more. Let's see what I like here. I don't want them to lighten it so much. Maybe darken a bit more. Okay, that's good. The another great tool to use is CL tab. And you see this is one axis, this is the other. I just pin the neutral tones, white tones. And for example, I want to make more contrast in her face. I can use this, make it fit the orange of her face. You see it's this part. The highlights go a bit brighter and does go a bit darker. If I move it to the left, it saturates. If I move it to the left, it desaturates. If I move it to the right, it saturates. But now I'm trying just to add the luminous. So I don't care about that. And here are the blues of the sky. I want to make it a bit darker. Make it a bit moodier. Okay. Now I'll go back to seeing my image with all the colors, RGB composite, and I say don't mess with my hue and don't mess with my saturation, just my luminance. It's good. I want to brighten the midtones a bit. Maybe I went too far with this. Brightening. And I will say send Lut to Photoshop. This is luminance correction. When you have a strong edit like I do here, you might see some banding in Photoshop, but I think that's because the Photoshop is just showing now the edits either low resolution LUT files or 8-bit output. So don't worry about if you see bending like this, because when you flatten it, you won't see it anymore because it used the 16-bit file. The great thing about this is I have a log conversion after my raw file, which is on log. So if I want, I can go back to 3D Lut Creator. I can make this log input CLog and make the output also CLog. And for example, I add a one-stop exposure correction, and I send this to Lut. If I use this, this will brighten beneath my log conversion. But the good thing now is I can use the masking and every other tool in Photoshop. I want to add exposure to, for example, this part here. This is great because you have options after you've edited your grade. I can also maybe duplicate this and just apply it to my shadows so they don't go too dark. Group this, make another mask for it, and pull my shadows from this part. So these are my log edits. Another great thing about 3D Lut Creator is this mask tab. You can mask by luminous, separate colors, warmth, all these different types of masking. So the one I use often is warmth. So I will just select the warm colors. It is like adding a contrast to my mask. And I use this preview. Now I want to add a curve to her face and warm colors. Let's say I want the green in the highlights. So it's really warm, like warm sunlight. I remove this. Let's remove a little bit of the red from the shadows. And this button is great because it extracts luminous curve from your RGB. So if I make a big adjustment here and it messes my luminance, I can just click it and it will zero out the color curves, and the luminance will stay here in this. So I can reset it, I can edit it here, remove each dot with right click, or just keep control and double click here. It will remove the contrast I added accidentally by moving this. And also you have opacity. So if I can see what I did, I'll smooth this out a bit. I like this warm. And if you hold Alt key, it will move everything in correspondence to this, not only this one, but everything near it. I like the hue, but it saturated it too much. So I'll remove the saturation from highlights and from shadows a bit, so it looks more natural. I will compile this, so it calculates this mask that I used, because I want to do another thing. I want to remove this from the bag so it doesn't mess up my red bag again. So I will use HSP and I will just use this one to select my bag, you see, based on the hue, saturation and luminance. Okay, it's good. And I will invert it so it applies my correction to everything except my red bag. And I will send this to, I will rename this skin warmth. This is what we did so far. This is my low conversion and my color grading layers. It seems to me that I added too much, maybe luminous correction, so I can lower it down. My skin seems a bit too contrasty and yellow now. I can go back and edit it. The great thing is about this is that you can still use your log raw file, and you can pull it. Maybe I want to pull the highlights and the shadow, so I can mask out things I want. And still keep the overall contrast I had. Just edit the parts I don't like separately, and it keeps the quality of the raw file. If I edited this after I already done corrections, I will lose data, but this way I pull it before it adds contrast and edit colors and everything. When I'm happy with the edits, I sometimes like to make this all this one LUT file, so I don't have so many layers, and I can easily transfer all this into other images. So I pull this to an HALT file, color grading, now I will load my process HALT file, so I can play around with this a bit more, see if I edited the luminance too much. I can also smooth my entire LUT out, so if there is any bending I can neutralize that. Looks okay. Maybe I can just edit extract curve for my LUT, so I have my contrast on this page, and I can just get back some of these midtones I pulled down. Okay, I can compile this, and I just want to check if I want a little bit of warmth again, and I'll just add a bit of yellows, sunny feeling, like you're using sunglasses. This is good. And let's say that's my final grade. Now I can delete these from before. So I have my log conversion and I have my grade. I can use the standard Photoshop tools. So for example, now when I look at it, her legs seem a bit too red for me. So I'll just select Res, and I will correct that locally. For after, add a little bit of vignette here, just after my log conversion. Then I will flat down everything. That's all for this tutorial. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I hope it helped. And sorry for my voice. I've got a really bad cold now. Hopefully it will be better next time. See you.